morning, everyone, and welcome to Total Football by Sports Adda. Hi, Sid. How are you? Some brilliant games yesterday.
Absolutely, Yash. Entertaining football all around yesterday.
Something really, unfortunate happening on the field that we are not,
Yes.
we've not seen it so often. And we really pray on behalf of, all our Sports Adda team. We really pray for the speedy recovery of Christian Eriksen. And hopefully Denmark team can come back with a bang in the last two games, the remaining two group stage matches. And quickly, summing up yesterday's games, Wales won. Wales won, Switzerland won, a good draw between them, and we always were, discussing that how evenly poised these two teams were. It was a neck-to-neck competition. Surprisingly, Finland, getting the edge over Denmark, which was completely unexpected because of the stats showing completely otherwise. And Denmark, a very good, well-oiled unit, but I can understand, mentally they were broken, and it really affects you mentally, and that could be one of the reasons that they kind of lost the match against Finland. But credit to Finland, very well played by them. And then, as expected and as predicted by our Guruji, saying that it's going to be 3-0 Belgium versus Russia. Although Russia were a very good side on paper, and they look like a good side, but Belgium, Lukaku scoring a brace, so you were bang on, Sid. How do you feel about your predictions?
Very good. A little disappointed about the first two. I mean, The draw with Switzerland was a little unexpected because Brie Embolo, as I said, was performing well. He didn't take his chances, but hopefully going forward he will. And of course, in the Denmark game, the horrific incident with Christian Eriksen, hopefully he recovers and is able to play again. But that definitely had an impact on the Danish team.
It did. And speaking of today's game, the first game, it's one of the best games of the tournaments to start off with. It's England versus Croatia. There's no love lost between these two teams. Please go ahead.
As I was saying, England has had a little trouble with the European Championships. It's always been tough in their opening fixtures. But while they're unbeaten in their Wembley appearances at any major tournament, unfortunately they've never won their first game in the Euros in 9 attempts. And they're coming into the tournament of back-to-back 6 straight wins. So confidence there, but history pulling them back just a little.
Maybe, and the fact is that Croatia has taken the upper hand in the last major encounter that they played, that was in the World Cup 2018, as much as I remember. And the game was pretty much, it was coming home that year. Everyone believed it, but then Croatia was like, abhi hum zinda hai. And then they just pulled off something that no one expected, and credit to Croatia for that. And they had a brilliant run in that World Cup. But this time around, the English squad is completely different, I must say, from what appeared and featured in the 2018 version of the World Cup. If you look at the squad here, you can see a lot of young players from the Premier League, a couple of players from the La Liga and the Bundesliga as well.
Yeah, totally. But while saying that, Gareth Southgate has gone with an unconventional approach. He went into the tournament with 4 right backs.
Yeah.
And that is, he actually went into a conversation with the press and said, if I could, I'd take more right backs. Looking at that, I expect a lot of attack coming through the right. And even with Trent going out, I was surprised that he didn't call in an experienced person like Ward-Prowse and instead went for an inexperienced Ben White. So with the England squad, I think there's a lot of inexperience there, and that might come back to hurt them. So if you see them midfield, other than the Liverpool captain, so he is going to be pivotal. Okay, he is going to be very, very important to them. He's the experience in that squad. Other than that, if you see their midfield or even in terms of attack, other than Harry Kane, it's very inexperienced. Sterling and Rashford, yes, but with the young people like Jadon Sancho, Phil Foden coming in, they are pushing them at the door. Okay, even Jack Grealish, not very experienced at the international level. Club level, yes, with Aston Villa, very experienced. But I think England's inexperience is going to trouble them a bit.
That could be a possibility. Because we are football fanatics, we watch all kinds of leagues. We watch the Premier League. We know everything about it. So these players ring a bell to us. We know they are familiar faces. These people. But now speaking of the Croatian team, some of the most talented players have played for this team. David Šuker, then you have Luka Modric, and there was Mandzukic, and there is another player. There is this player called Rebic, and I've watched him play, and he's a man to watch out for. Don't you think the way he plays, he's just fantastic?
Absolutely. Even though AC Milan, he's been performing brilliantly when Zlatan has been underperforming. He's the one who has stepped up. And speaking about Croatia as a team, okay, while England has struggled to get over the line in their first game of the Euros, Croatia, on the other hand, have always come up, and won the games, actually winning 4 of the 5 opening matches. Okay, and this will also be the first tournament in a long time where, as you had said, Mandzukic and Rakitic will not be there in their squad, ever present earlier, but that experience will be lacking. But Modric will have to shoulder that experience. And Croatia are a little edgy as well, having won only 2 of their last 9 matches coming into this fixture.
Yeah.
So Rebic, I expect him to score a few, but let's see.
There's a lot of weight on his shoulders. I can understand what you're saying. But speaking of the top scorers for these two teams, the current playing a lot, I think these two players, Harry Kane and Ivan Perisic, these two are inseparable in their teams, and they are the hearts of the team. If you look at the goal that Croatia scored against England, it was Perisic. And if you look at Harry Kane and his impact that he's had as a captain, and the transformation as a mature individual from a young talented boy, you can really see that he is one player to watch out for. In the next few years, he could be the next big thing.
True. So in the Premier League, as we know, Harry Kane has always been in and around the Golden Boot, winning it a few times, just missing out on the occasions. Okay, but when you see Harry Kane, he's with 34 goals as a top scorer and actually 20 goals away from any of the current players in the England squad. So he's by far their most potent goal scoring threat. And even if you see in the England overall goal scoring, he's 6th and will be obviously gunning for first. But let's see how he performs.
Exactly. So, can you tell me something about Perisic and what do you feel of him? Because he's someone who has played at one of the biggest clubs, for playing at all the top clubs. So he has that experience, the big match experience at club level, and even at the international level, he's played in one final and he has played very well in the last World Cup. So what do you think of him and him as a player?
So as a player, Perisic has been impeccable, okay, on the club level and even for his country. But over the last 2 years or 3 years, he has been on a little bit of a decline on the international level, maybe not on the club level. Okay, if you see Croatia, yes, they did beat England in the World Cup semi-finals, but after that in the Nations League, if you know, England got a one-up on them on both occasions.
Yes. I think I lost some connection there. Yeah. I was saying, Sid, who do you think is going to come out victorious in this game? Because both teams have got history between them, and both teams are really filled with great talented players. So who do you think is going to come out victorious in today's fixture?
I'm actually gunning for England for a 2-1 win and to break their duck, okay, in the opening fixtures.
Yes. And finally, people can say it's coming home, it's coming home.
Yes.
So that's our prediction for the first game, 2-1 England against Croatia. And that's it for the first game. Let's move on to the second game. It's Austria versus North Macedonia.
Father saying, through Macedonia, a fairly young nation. Okay, the nation itself is only 30 years old, and along with yesterday's debutants Finland, they are also debutants in a European and international tournament. So a lot of pressure on them. And if you see, they're the 62nd ranked team in the world, and actually coming into this tournament, they're the lowest ranked team.
Yes,
so
exactly.
A lot of pressure on them to perform. Weight of a nation.
If you look at the Austrian squad, they have some great talented players. the most capped player, the most goals scored. These two players you might have definitely heard of. Marko Arnautovic, he has been a backbone for Austria. He has played for big clubs in the Premier League. And even Alexander Dragovic has been a good player, has been like a legend and a veteran for them currently. So what are your thoughts on these two?
So Dragovic obviously is a rock in their defense. Okay, he's going to be the main person shielding their goalkeeper. Okay, and a lot of experience. Okay, centre backs thrive on experience, and that's what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
Okay, Arnautovic for the first game is a little bit of an injury doubt, but
yeah,
he's always delivered the goods. A little bit eccentric with his temper, but he always attacks the ball.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And he's played for West Ham, he's played for Stoke City.
Yeah.
So we all have seen him, feature in the Premier League, and he has been a good goal scorer for them as well. But speaking of good goal scorers and a legend, it's Goran Pandev. What are your thoughts on this North Macedonian legend? And 30 goals scored, 111 caps for his country, and being a player who has seen it all, from winning the Champions League to getting his team home to Euros, to qualify for the first time. How proud would his country be of this man?
They are extremely proud of him. He's a legend in his country. As I said, it's a fairly young nation, but to create a niche for himself over there, and also to perform at clubs like Inter, winning the Champions League with Jose Mourinho. Okay, he was very integral during that run. Okay, the treble run that time. But with Pandev being 37, he has a lot of experience, and he brings that to the table for North Macedonia, and they need that from him.
Definitely they do. Now, speaking of Sid, the players to watch out for according to you, because as we all know, in North Macedonia there is Goran Pandev. He is the player to watch out for. It's a given. But what about Austria? Who do you think is the player to watch out for in this playing level?
So, as we know, Arnautovic is going to be a huge factor over there. Whether he can start or no is a question on everyone's mind. But the other two players I think will have a huge impact is David Alaba, okay, the former Bayern Munich player, okay, and also Sabitzer. He has performed extremely well in the Bundesliga, and pairing with Alaba, he's going to look to attack the ball and get a few goals for himself.
Such बात एकदम, क्योंकि he's a very good player. David Alaba has won everything. Actually, speaking of David Alaba, he's just 29 and he signed a contract now with Real Madrid. He's going to play in the midfield for Austria, although he's a out-and-out left back for Bayern. He's won 8 or 9, league titles in a row. So he has got immense experience, under his belt, and it will really help Austria in today's game, because for them, North Macedonia would be, kind of a pushover. They would feel that way. Although in this tournament, you cannot say who is going to be a winner and a loser, right from the word go. But looking at the stats and looking at the facts here, it seems that Austria have the edge over North Macedonia. So what do you think, Siddharth, about this, and who is going to come out victorious in this game?
So for me, I think Austria will have a 2-1 victory over the North Macedonians, because even as you said, history, both nations have already been familiar with each other, having locked horns twice during their respective qualification campaigns, and the Austrians came up on top on both occasions. Okay, so there's also a bit of pressure on Austria, having underperformed in previous tournaments, and they'd like to get off with a win over here. And I think the experience that they have as a nation and with some of their players will give them the edge.
But speaking from a North Macedonian point of view, having played Australia twice in the World Cup, Euro qualifier campaigns, last time around in the last few years, do you think they know what kind of football Austria play and might have something something unexpected for themselves?
Yes, they will have something unexpected for themselves, but there's only this much I feel that the North Macedonians can do. The Austrians have an immense amount of tradition and experience with them, and just as I said, North Macedonia is a fairly young nation. Goran Pandev is older than the nation, so there's a lot of experience over there.
That is definitely true. So from our expert here, it's 2-1 to Austria, and I think most of the people will agree to what you say. So quickly moving on to the third match, it's Netherlands versus Ukraine. Sid, Netherlands is a brilliant side. As we all know, they've been finalists. They've had the golden generation in the 1970s, rich European history, the rich footballing history with Marco van Basten and Johan Cruyff. All these players have played for them. Robin van Persie has played for them. So coming into this tournament with no such big names, a Virgil van Dijk would have been one of them probably. There's a Depay there, but not as big as the players that I mentioned earlier. So what do you think, what goes on in the mind of such a team who has seen everything and now coming in this tournament as, you might not say the favourites, but definitely a contenders for qualifying to the knockouts?
True. So with Netherlands, they're a team that's rejuvenated. Okay, they have having sat out the UEFA Euro 2016 and the 2018 World Cup. Okay, they have come back with a bang. Okay, the Netherlands have played their first final tournament in 7 years now. Okay, so coming into a tournament, there's huge expectations of their team. But even there, they've gotten experience. Keeper Martin Stecklenburg at 38 is going to be the oldest player in the tournament. But a few concerns for them, I feel, is injuries that might impact the Dutch team. Van Dijk, as you had said, is missing the tournament. Van de Beek has pulled out injured, and surprisingly, the coach has, refused to get in someone as a replacement for him. And recently, De Ligt, one of the stalwarts and very young centre back, but with immense experience, the Juventus centre back, it might miss this match through injury. So a few concerns for the Dutch team. While if I look at Ukraine, they're hoping to show the form that got them to the Euros. A surprising fact is they finished unbeaten above holders Portugal in the qualifying group. So that was a surprise itself. And their legend Andriy Shevchenko is their coach. Yes. So he's going to have a lot of push for them.
That's going to be amazing because we all have heard of Andriy Shevchenko while growing up. He's the Ballon d'Or winner as well, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. He's won a UCL with AC Milan, and he has been one of the top players in the world in the early 2000s. And bringing that passion to his team when he's coaching his home country, he's I think the only player in the last 15 years who has been a prominent figure from Ukraine to have played international football. It is Andriy Shevchenko, and we will see more of him in this tournament, and it's going to be amazing. But speaking of experience, there is a little experience in Netherlands as well. If you speak of the most capped player for Netherlands, they have Daley Blind, who has played for the top clubs in the Premier League as well, who's played for Manchester United, and Yarmolenkov, as we all know, the Ukrainian legend in the making for them. So what are your thoughts on the experience that these two will bring to the team?
A lot of experience in both ends of the field. So Daley Blind getting experience through the back line. Okay, so as I said, with the Van Dijk and De Ligt missing in the first match, and Van Dijk obviously for the entire tournament, Daley Blind is going to be extremely crucial for holding and guarding their back line. Okay, he's going to be the one leading the offside trap as well. So a lot of pressure on him. While you see Yarmolenko, from an international standpoint, yes, he's played a lot for Spain and brings a lot of experience to the attacking forefront. For the last 2 years, West Ham, he hasn't played as much due to injuries and the tactical shifts as well. But obviously, that doesn't take away the experience and his talent. So a lot of expectations from these two.
Sid, I have to ask you this: who do you think is the player to watch out for? Because both the teams have players who are very young, very raw, but extremely talented. So, according to you, who would be the two players who you would put your money on?
So, actually, if I look at the Ukraine squad, Alexander Zinchenko is one person I think would be crucial to them. Okay, the Man City man has been instrumental and been in the team for Manchester City and Ukraine, leading them, from the back. He also has a lot of versatility, playing multiple roles. As we've seen at Manchester City, he's played left back. For Ukraine, he plays in centre mid or on the left wing. So a lot of versatility there, and gives Shevchenko a little bit of flexibility to change his tactics with Zinchenko. While, as we had seen, Frankie de Jong is another player, from the Dutch side who will be crucial, ever present in the Ajax team, shifted to Barcelona and, performing admirably over there. Another player from the Dutch team who might have a say is Gigi Wijnaldum. Okay, the Liverpool legend, okay, for now. And also moving to Barcelona, was supposed to move to Barca, sorry, and maybe moving to PSG now.
it's a part of football. You transfer, you are looking somewhere, but you want something else in your life. So it's a good venture for him here on, because PSG is a champion side and he will bring a lot to this team, because some great players have been playing there. Neymar and the Mbappe. So it's going to be fantastic to watch him play today as well. Now, speaking of the top scorers, you have two great players from both countries. What do you have to say about these two?
So as it said, Yarmolenko, absolute legend for Ukraine, and I think he'll be taking a few points from Shevchenko, of how he can better himself and make an impact during these Euros. While if we come to Memphis Depay, the leading goal scorer for the Dutch currently, okay, he did start off brilliantly in the Dutch leagues and moved to United, but over there he had a little bit of a tough time. But he's taken a step back, moved to Lyon. Not saying that Lyon is a step back from the club, but he went and said, no, I will try and reinvent myself. He has reinvented himself at Lyon, and to such an extent that he has moved to, or is on the verge of moving to Barca right now as well. But just like Gigi, I'm not saying anything until it's official.
Yes, because in Barca you never know. Anyone can go to Barcelona, anyone can reject Barcelona. That's how the transfer market has been going. Now, a question for you, Sid. Do you think, Netherlands being a very, I won't say aggressive, but a very attacking side, do you think they will keep their approach, the same approach that they've been having for all these years, their dominating style of football against any opposition, or coming after, like you said, after 7 years they'll be playing a major tournament? So do you think their approach would be a bit, they will be a bit nervous, or a lot of, what do you have to say about their, first game? How would they go about the first game?
So there will be a little bit of jitters, but they're not going to change their style. Dutch football is known for, they're the ones who invented total football, and they are not going to give that up. That is them, and they will continue with it.
Our show has been done by them, it seems, total football. So, Sid, quickly wrapping it up, do you think the Netherlands are going to be the winning team, or what's the score going to be like? What are your predictions for this game?
So interestingly, looking at both the Dutch and Ukraine, they have, been scoring at least 2 goals in their matches. So the Dutch have scored at least 2 goals in the 9 of their last 10 matches, while the Ukraine have scored at least 2 in 6 of their last 7 matches. So I expect a little bit of a high scoring game in this one. So maybe, a 2-2 or a 3-2 to the Dutch.
Wow, a high scoring game. That's what we have got from our Statsman Sid. That's what I'm going to call you from now. So 3-2 for Netherlands and 2-1 England and Austria respectively. Yes. So these are the predictions by our expert. So let's see if you get it right, because yesterday you were bang on with completely being precise about Lukaku scoring 2, and people might be making their fantasy teams thinking that this guy said now henceforth. So thank you for your predictions, Sid. Thank you for joining with me today. It was fun having you on chat, and thank you for all the stats as well.
Pleasure, man.
Some excellent matches today on our hands, and it's going to be a cracker of a game. These 3 games, I'm going to be pretty excited to watch them, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for joining with me. This was Total Football by Sports Adda.